Good evening, people. Welcome back to my channel. I am UndeadSick83, your governor of movie reviews. And I know it's Thursday, and I haven't recorded any videos this week. I'm sorry about that, but work has been insane. You know, my work schedule was crazy. My work shifts, they were like, bouncing back and forth. I had very crazy, work hours. It was insane. My boss must really love me in that way. So I apologize for not recording any videos this week. But I thought, I want to give you something. So I thought today, on Thursday, I would do another movie review for you guys. And the movie that I'm going to talk about today is one of my favorite movies, I think, ever. This is like one of the, not one of the best films, but this is one of my favorite films that I have ever seen. So I'm very excited to talk about this with you. And today we are going to talk about Richard Raaphorst's Frankenstein's Army. I'm gonna say that again. Frankenstein's Army, directed by Richard Raaphorst. That's the name of the director. And the reason why I'm so excited for this film, to talk about this movie with you, is because this movie is directed by a Dutch director. So this director is coming from my country, from my home country, where I live. So I'm very excited to talk about this film with you. So sit back, and I hope you will enjoy. Alright. So, let's just start with a little bit of the story, right? The same as we usually do it. Let's start with the story, the basics. What is Frankenstein's Army about? Okay. So, Frankenstein's Army takes place basically at the end of World War II. In the final days of World War II. And the movie is about a Russian group of soldiers who have a cameraman with them who is called Dmitri. And these Russian soldiers with this cameraman, they are liberating villages, fighting against the Germans. And all the while that they are doing that, they are, they are filming them rescuing the villagers and stuff, right? Kind of like, it's a kind of war propaganda, basically. So they are liberating, villages, fighting Nazis and stuff, and all the while, documenting what they do. Then at the start of the movie, they get a distress signal from another Russian team of soldiers who have, mysteriously vanished in a nearby village, in a nearby mining town. So basically, the leader of the command of the unit, basically the leader of the unit, decides to check it out and possibly save the comrades, the fellow soldiers. And once they arrive in the mining town, they find some really disturbing and shocking things that may be very deadly and may become very deadly for the team itself. So that is basically the story for Frankenstein's Army. Alright, so let me just start by saying that I really, really love this film. I really love this film. And I'm going to explain to you why I really love this film. But first of all, let me give you a little bit of context about this movie, okay? So this movie was directed by Richard Raaphorst, and basically what happened is Richard Raaphorst he wanted to make a movie, a film, and he had this concept for a long time, and basically to get the studios in Holland, excited for it, he shot some promos, some little trailers and promos. He shot some promo footage to show to the studios. And he would call these promo shots, these promo, films, footage, he would give them the name Worst Case Scenario. And that's originally what the film was going to be named. The film originally was going to be Worst Case Scenario. That was the original title for this film. So he made some promo footage, some small like clips and stuff, basically to market the film to the studio and to the producers. However, as short-sighted as we are in Holland, because let me tell you, the movie industry in Holland is nothing like the movie industry in America or in Italy, the European, all that stuff, all that jazz. Our movie industry is nothing like that. We are very short-sighted people when it comes to the film industry. Basically, the only things that we are really good at, or at least claim to be really good at, is making romantic comedies and making like bad CSI copies for television, basically. That's basically all we know in Holland, basically. There are some exceptions. I mean, there is one director who is called Dick Maas. You might know that director. You might have heard it somewhere. He made movies like The Lift and Amsterdam, who were released by Blue Underground a couple of years ago. And he's pretty much our only director who is like thinking out of the box and really tries to do different things. He made horror movies, he made comedies, he made adventure films, lots of stuff. So he's one of the directors that actually does different things. We'd like to call him the Dutch John Carpenter, basically. But apart from that, Holland is very short-sighted as a movie industry. And so when Richard Raaphorst showed the footage to the studios that he shot, when he showed the footage, the producers basically said no, because basically their mindset was, this movie will never sell. This movie will tank in cinemas. This movie won't sell tickets. So basically they said no. So the project was shelved, basically. And then a couple of years later, because his promo footage got into circulation, of course, by, several people. And then a couple of years later, an American producer got wind of these promo shots. And this American producer, he watched them, and he thought they were actually really good and interesting. And he contacted Richard Raaphorst, and basically he said, this could be very promising. We want to invest in your film. And that's basically how the whole thing got started. So basically, with the help of an American producer, he got this film made. And I'm very happy that this movie came out, because this is a fantastic film. I really love this film. To explain a little bit to you, this is a found footage film. Now, usually I'm not a very big fan of found footage. I hate found footage. I think found footage is cheap and dumb and stupid. That's just me personally. You might feel differently, but I think found footage is ridiculous and stupid. But anyway, however, there are two major exceptions. There are two found footage films that I really, really love. The first film you already know about because I already talked about it in great length. I did a movie review on it. And the first one is, of course, Cannibal Holocaust. I love that movie. I love that movie so much. I can watch it over and over again. As a matter of fact, I'm going to see it, tomorrow night. Just because I can. And I'm going to see it tomorrow. But, so that's the first one. But the second one is this. Because, like with Cannibal Holocaust, this movie uses found footage in a very special, but also in a very smart way. So those are the only two found footage films that I love. So why do I love this movie so much? Why am I so invested in Frankenstein's army? Let's dive into that. All right. All right. The first reason why I love this film so much is because of the themes of this movie. I love the thematics that this film has. Let me try to explain this. The moment you take a camera onto the battlefield, right? Because that's what's happening in Frankenstein's army, and it also happens in Cannibal Holocaust. But the moment you take a camera onto the battlefield, it changes the perspective, and you create an illusion which the viewers at home, which the viewers at home then perceive to be true. Basically, I'm talking about war propaganda, okay? And look, I haven't been a soldier, I haven't been in any wars whatsoever. I'm not a soldier, so, I don't presume to know the horrors of being in a war and the trauma that comes with it. I won't presume to know anything about that. But I firmly believe, this is what I personally believe. I firmly believe, because, like I said, if you take a camera into war, whether it's, Vietnam or all the chaos that happens now in the Ukraine, right? Whatever you want to choose. But the moment you take a camera into war, the moment you do that, you have the ability to manipulate that war and to basically you're hypnotizing the people at home, watching their TVs, with all of these images of dissolution. Basically, you are hypnotizing all of those people at home watching, their small screens, and it's disillusion. Basically, it's disillusion. It's putting a picture on screen and then saying that picture is true, even though that picture is extremely twisted. That's the truth. At least they tell you that's the truth. And it's incredible to me. It's really astonishing that sort of stuff used to happen. And I think it still does happen. But anyway, And, you know, it's in this movie as well. It's in Cannibal Holocaust a lot. That whole theme is in Cannibal Holocaust a lot. But it's in this movie as well. It's very apparent in this movie also. Because, you know, we see at the start of the film, you know, with the montage, right? There is a montage of scenes at the start of the film where they are liberating all of these villages, right? Sorry, little burp there. But there is like a montage of scenes at the start of the film, you know, with these Russian soldiers, you know, we see them, you know, liberating all of these villages and stuff, right? And basically what happens is we see them basically after they liberated a village, they basically hand out chocolate to the locals. They hand out chocolate to the locals. That is like I can't wrap my head around it. You know, and there is also a scene of like a man, you know, taking a dump in the woods basically. You know, and there is no battle or anything, and he's just, you know, he's just taking a dump in the woods, and it's like, you know, and it's like this soldier just has the mentality of, you know what, there is no battle and I'm bored, so I'm just gonna take a shit in the woods. And they actually film that shit. That's what they film, and it's really mind-blowing to me, and that's the reason why I'm always opposed to send cameras into war, because it never actually shows the actual truth. It never shows the, you know, the real horrific truth. It just shows you an illusion, and they create that for you and then project it onto your television screen. But it's nothing like the truth. It's not even close to the truth. And so, you know, manipulating us with these images is it's war propaganda basically. And that's one of the things I love about this film, because this film really dives into that. Same with Cannibal Holocaust, but this film really dives into all of that, you know, war propaganda, and I love it for that. I love it for that. All right. What I also love about this film is that it shows the mechanics of war. Now, that sounds a little strange, but let me explain, okay? Let me explain. All right, so I'm talking about the mechanics of war. What I mean by that is that this film shows how everything in a war has the potential to become a monster. You know, even when you are perceived as a hero, you know, like the Russians are in this film, even when you are perceived as the hero, very often you are forced to do some pretty awful stuff as a soldier, right? I mean, soldiers are sometimes have to do pretty awful stuff. That's just part of the course, right? And, you know, and I think that as time and events progress, you are becoming a bigger cog in the overall war machine. You know, you are now integrated into the death and the destruction it causes. You know, and all of the chaos and the garbage, you know, it leaves in its wake, you know. So there is that. And it also shows you how everything on the battlefield is basically expendable and dare I say recyclable. That's basically it. The way that the main villain, Frankenstein in this film, the way that Frankenstein is using all of these, industrial scraps, and forgotten military arms equipment to basically to create this, cyborg army, this cyborg zombie army. I think that is very much a metaphor for how war. This is how I see it. I think this whole thing is a metaphor for how war can, dehumanize people, and how it enforces the only ability it has, and that is to destroy. The only ability a war has is to destroy, to wreak death and destruction. And, taking these dead soldiers from the battlefield and then turning them into monsters, I think that is very much about how war changes you. And I think it shows the fact that, in a war, you just become disposable garbage, really. And I think that's a very intriguing and interesting concept as to how you approach, making a film about war. Because in my recollection, that hadn't been done before. At least I don't think so. I don't think they have ever done something like this in a war movie. And that's what makes it interesting. That's what makes it intriguing to watch. And I think that's great. I think that's absolutely great. So, yeah. Let's see. Where was I? All right. So, talking about the monsters, I want to talk about the practical effects because they are phenomenal. For a low-budget film, they are phenomenal. All of the creature designs in this film are real, and every set piece that you see are practical effects. It's all practical. There is no CGI. These cyborg mutants, made with all of these war scraps, like helmets and gas masks and and even airplane parts, like airplane propellers and stuff. It looks very, very realistic, and they are absolutely terrifying to watch. Did I mention gas masks? I think so, yeah. But the creatures look very realistic. How they are hooked up to these wires and stuff. And the creatures are absolutely terrifying. And look, I won't go into the whole... Here's the thing. I don't want to go into the whole, plagiarism, that whole thing with Resident Evil, right? I don't want to go into the whole plagiarism thing with Resident Evil. Let me just say this. Everybody copies someone else's work. Everybody copies someone else, and nothing is authentic, all right? Nothing is authentic. Everything is copied. So, Richard, just deal with that. Just deal with that. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, but the creatures are great. Then I want to talk a bit. Rewind that a little bit. Then I want to talk about the set design. All the locations in this film are very lavish. The abandoned mine feels very innate and isolated, and it's absolutely terrifying. The countryside of Czechia, where this film was shot. This film was actually shot in Czechia, but the whole countryside of that looks very beautiful and almost haunting in a way. You have these vast, open spaces, grazing lands and stuff, and with like mist in the distance, and it looks very haunting in a certain way. It really works. It really works. All the other stuff like the church, it feels very natural. And it actually looks like an old historic place. So I want to applaud it for that, because this movie feels very authentic in that way. It really feels that you are actually in, World War II in these areas. So that's recommendable. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the music and the theme. Because the main theme of this film is absolutely the main theme of this film is brilliance. It is absolutely amazing. I love this piece of music. I can listen to it over and over again. It has this very patriotic it's very militaristic and almost like swashbuckling. That's what the song is. It's a very patriot-like, militaristic, and almost swashbuckling song that very much helps with what this film is trying to tell us. Patriotism and war propaganda. Marching the soldiers. On the Red Square and stuff like that, it's very propaganda-like and very patriotic, of course. But the music is great. That main theme song is fabulous. I can listen to it over and over again. So there you go. And I think that's everything I wanted to tell you here. So a little bit about the cast in closing. The main actors are Alexander Mercury. He plays Dmitri, the cameraman. You have Luke Newberry, who plays his assistant, Sasha. And then there is Karel Roden, who plays Dr. Viktor Frankenstein. And Karel Roden, of course, we all know him from example, Hellboy, where he played Gregory Rasputin, right? So I think those are the main three actors and characters in this film. So I think I pretty much talked about everything I wanted to talk about here. So in closing, how do I feel about Richard Raaphorst's Frankenstein's Army? I absolutely love this film. For a low budget movie, if I have to give it one negative, if I have to give it a negative, for a low budget movie, sometimes it's a little clunky and convoluted. That's what I'll say. For a low budget film, sometimes it's a bit, convoluted and clunky, basically. But overall, I think this is a very strong movie that has a lot to say about war propaganda and patriotism and just the whole, mechanics of war and, like I said, the dehumanization of war. I think it has a lot to say about that. And even though it's a horror film, I think it's really, really well done. I think it's really well done. And Richard Raaphorst made a fantastic film. And I kind of wished he would do more films. But this is his only film so far. I think he has like a new project that he's developing right now. But this is his only film up to date. So it is a found footage film. So that would really have to be your... It would really have to be your thing, really. For like I said, for me it isn't. Like I said, I only love 2 found footage films. It's this one and Cannibal Holocaust. But this one does it very well. This one does found footage very, very well. And I recommend everybody who loves horror films and war movies to check out Frankenstein's Army, because I think that this is it's a pretty damn good film, to be honest. So there you have it. My ranking for this film. How do I rate? Rating. How do I rate Frankenstein's Army, directed by Richard Raaphorst? I'm going to rate Frankenstein's Army an 8 out of 10. I think this is a really solid, damn good film, which in certain areas is a bit clunky and convoluted. The creature effects, it's practical, so, if you are used to CGI, it may throw you off a little bit. But overall, I think this is a very strong horror/war movie who uses found footage very, very well. So there you have it. My rating for Frankenstein's Army, 8 out of 10. So if you, like I said, if you are a horror fan, you have to check this out. And if you are a collector, pick it up and, watch it. And maybe you'll like it. I hope so. I really hope so. So anyway, that's my review for Frankenstein's Army, directed by Richard Raaphorst. But let me know in the comment section down below, what did you think? Have you seen this film? Have you not seen this film? If you did see it, did you like it as much as me? Or maybe did you hate it maybe? If you did hate it, tell me why. We can discuss the debate. Do you agree with my points? Do you disagree? Again, if you disagree, tell me why. We can discuss and debate. Do you have any movies or TV shows you want to recommend to me for me to watch and review? Let me know in the comment section down below. I want to know your thoughts, opinions, theories, ideas, as always. And before I close off this video, I would just like to say that I am going to be leaving for a week. Because I am actually going on vacation. Yes, COVID has allowed me to go on vacation. Thank you, COVID. Thank you very much. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. But COVID allowed me to go on vacation. So I'm going on vacation next week. Actually, I'm going to Bonaire in the Caribbean. I'm going to fly there on Saturday, and I'm going to be returning on Sunday, the Sunday after that. So I won't be shooting any videos or anything like that for a week, but I promise you I will be back as soon as I got home from my well-deserved vacation, I think. So I just wanted to throw that out there in closing. But again, thank you for watching. I will be back with videos as soon as possible, of course. Stay safe and healthy as always. Have a good week, and I see you guys. Bye.